You know that feeling, right? When you just want to get straight to the heart of something, understand what's really going on without all the noise.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into the Mercedes Formula One team's recent performance, specifically looking hard at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
And we're using a really insightful piece from the F1 blogs to guide us. An article by Carmen Ruiz, published May 19th, 2025. It really digs into the challenges Mercedes faced at Imola.
It does, because there's been so much talk around Mercedes, hasn't there? You know, the buzz about Andrea Kimi Antonelli coming in, other team changes.
Yeah, lots of changes off track.
But on track. The big leap in performance, well, we haven't quite seen it yet. So our mission today is to really understand the core problems they're battling, especially based on what George Russell said after Imola.
He was quite direct.
He really was.
Yeah.
So if you follow F1 closely, or maybe you're just fascinated by how these top-tier teams deal with pressure and performance dips, this deep dive should give you some real insights.
Okay, let's jump straight into Imola then. Russell finished 7th. Antonelli, sadly, had to retire.
Not the weekend they wanted.
Definitely not. And what's interesting from Ruiz's analysis in the F1 blogs is the feeling that Russell's P7 was maybe flattered a bit, more down to others making mistakes, like Williams with their strategy.
Right. So not necessarily Mercedes finding a chunk of pace themselves.
Exactly. It wasn't some sudden breakthrough from their side. They didn't suddenly unlock the car.
And Russell himself, well, he didn't pull any punches, did he? The article quotes him saying, "Simplemente fuimos lentos a morir."
We were simply slow to die.
Yeah. I mean, wow, that's pretty brutal about your own car's pace, isn't it? Really paints a picture of just struggling to hang on.
It absolutely does. And digging into that F1 blogs piece, Russell points to something familiar, a kind of Achilles heel for them recently.
Yeah.
The car is just really sensitive to temperature.
Oh, that again. I feel like we've heard this before.
We have. He highlights they're often sluggish when it's hot, but much better when it cools down. It's a problem they seemingly carried over from last year's car.
Right. And that sort of sensitivity, it suggests something pretty fundamental is wrong, doesn't it? Not just a setup tweak.
Precisely. It often points to an aerodynamic inefficiency, maybe, or the tires just having a really, really narrow window where they actually work properly. Teams spend fortunes trying to widen that window.
Okay, so temperature sensitivity. Sounds like a nightmare for the engineers. Russell mentioned they've tried loads of different setups, right? Just couldn't find anything that worked.
Yeah, according to the article, he said they threw various things at it, but no real success. That really tells you it's not just about finding a minor adjustment. It's deeper.
So what does that actually mean out on track? Practically speaking, just less grip overall, or does it impact other things too?
Oh, it impacts a lot. Less grip means slower laps, obviously. But it also really affects how the tires wear out if they overheat in the heat.
Which they might have done at Imola.
Exactly. Then they degrade faster. That forces you into maybe more pit stops, messes up your whole race strategy. And the flip side, if it's cool, maybe they can't get enough heat into the tires, so again, no grip. It's a constant battle.
Got it. A real balancing act. And the article also mentions Russell comparing them to rivals, saying they were slower than Ferrari, sometimes even behind Williams.
Yeah, he noted there, despite managing to save the furniture, as he put it, in some earlier races.
Yeah.
Basically salvaging points.
Right.
At Imola, he felt they were genuinely off the pace compared to key competitors. He even said they were, quote, lucky to finish 7th.
Lucky. Wow, you don't often hear a Mercedes driver saying they were lucky to be 7th. That really says something.
It really does. And the F1 blogs piece stresses how the heat at Imola just seemed to make all these underlying issues much, much worse.
Yeah.
It wasn't just generally slow. The specific conditions really exposed the car's limits.
So the heat turned up the spotlight on the problems.
You can say that.
Yeah.
And what's really telling is Russell apparently felt issues even on the formation laps, before the race even started properly.
Seriously, before the lights went out.
Yeah, reporting problems right from the get-go. And that feeling apparently stuck with him for pretty much the whole race, like 60 laps. The team was looking into it, running diagnostics, but couldn't immediately figure out what was causing it.
Wow. That suggests it's maybe quite a complex or subtle issue if they couldn't pinpoint it straight away during the race. A real red flag.
Definitely. And you can sense the frustration, can't you? Russell making it clear, as reported in the F1 blogs, that these core problems from previous seasons just haven't really been solved.
So it's not like a new gremlin popped up. It's the same old story, basically.
That seems to be the feeling. It's this recurring theme. The article talks about it being a sort of deeply rooted design or aerodynamic characteristic.
Okay, so in simple terms, that means the basic way the car handles airflow, how it generates downforce, it just isn't quite right for different conditions, leading to these temperature woes.
That's a good way to put it. If the fundamental aero concept isn't robust across a range of conditions, you get these sensitivities. And like Russell pointed out, sometimes it's the front tires overheating, sometimes it's the rears, depending on the track.
Ugh, that sounds incredibly hard to manage. For the engineers trying to set it up, and for the driver trying to feel confident in the car, it's unpredictable.
Massively unpredictable. Makes finding a stable setup that works everywhere really challenging.
And Russell was pretty direct about how this looked compared to others, right? He mentioned competitors having a medio decente race, a sort of decent one.
Yeah, his point being that because other teams weren't having major dramas, because they had a relatively clean race.
Mercedes' own lack of pace was just more obvious, nowhere to hide.
Exactly. When the competition runs smoothly, your own underlying performance, or lack of it, gets starkly highlighted. Fewer chances to gain places from others' mistakes, like we discussed with the Williams strategy, possibly helping his P7.
Right, and he really drove the point home, didn't he? Explicitly saying, no, definitivamente no fue mala suerte.
No, it definitely wasn't bad luck.
Yeah, just laying it out there. No excuses, not traffic, not strategy calls gone wrong, nothing external, just the car wasn't fast enough in those conditions, period.
And that kind of blunt honesty from a driver like Russell, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? It suggests there's a clear recognition, at least from his side, that they need to fix these fundamental car issues urgently.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up then. This deep dive, looking through the lens of that F1 Blogs article by Carmen Ruiz, it really shows Mercedes is still wrestling with some core problems.
Big time.
Primarily the sensitivity to temperature, how the car behaves when it's hot versus cold. And it's not new. It's a hangover from previous seasons.
Yeah, persistent.
And despite changes in personnel, the problem remains. Imola, with the heat, just really put it under the microscope. And Russell, well, he was crystal clear. The result came down to the car just being too slow. Plain and simple, no luck involved.
Absolutely. And maybe that leaves us and you listening with something to think about. How crucial is it really to nail down and solve those fundamental underlying problems if you want sustained success?
Yeah, not just in F1, but anywhere.
Exactly, in any field. What are the, let's call them heat-sensitive challenges in your own work or area of interest? Those core issues that maybe only really show up under pressure or in certain specific conditions, definitely something worth mulling over.